And you're on. Hello, hello, hello.
I know, it's really ironed out.
All of the planning.
Wrap it. So there we go. Welcome to the show. That was a little introduction from our latest album, which is indeed our only album, which is Muscle Memory by the Beauty Hunters, recorded in 2019 and released in very early 2020. It's a fantastic piece. You can see the cover as part of my background here. So, welcome to the show. Welcome
What's the name of that one, Guy?
Animal Uprising show. Kurt, what have we got going on here today?
Oh, well, we've got a big show tonight at the upcoming Animal Uprising. We're going to talk with a zoologist about the upcoming uprising. We've got Inside with the Hollywood Outsider again this week, talking about how that dog-eat-dog world in Hollywood, just like what it's all about down there, down in Hollywood. He's going to give us another report. And we're going to have some music. We've got a couple new topics. Sean's going to be bringing us a topic tonight called influencers. Very interesting, very arty. So stay tuned for that one. And that's going to be about someone that's really influenced us, and specifically Sean. And then after that, we're going to great, of course, Poetry Corner. We had a lot of good feedback about that last week. So another Poetry Corner and more music and videos. So enjoy. I think we're going to introduce our first guest tonight. A zoologist from Woodland Park Zoo, head zoologist. Maybe you introduce him, Guy.
Yeah. Let's. Thank you. Thanks for giving us an overview of what we're going to be into tonight. Look, it's. I'd just like to, before we get started, I wanted to thank everyone. Last week we had a great show, and we actually pushed well over our 100 subscriber threshold, which puts us into a whole new level. Our wonderful engineer and program coordinator Dawn Marie is very happy that we've made this threshold, and I think that probably you all out there in viewerland will experience the advantages of us getting there. So thanks very much to all the subscribers. Honestly, thank you for subscribing to the channel, and anyone out there watching for the first time that hasn't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Like I said, that the opening was music from our first album, and if you wanted to get hold of that, just go on the internet and look up Dirty Knobby Records here in Seattle, and you'll be able to get hold of that music there. So, yes, indeed, we have our first guest, a new guest to the show. We'll have Dan O'Rourke again with us later on, and our apologies, Ed, the human pencil, cannot be with us tonight. His pencil's out of action, but I'm sure he'll be back next week. But our first guest is a friend of ours, a dear friend of ours, and also a wonderful, wonderful mammal on the face of this earth. His name is Michael Spears, and he's coming to us as our zoological consult. And we're gonna ask him some questions about what COVID-19 has brought the world in terms of the other species that are dealing with the space that we're in, that being the other mammals.
Come on in, Michael.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Michael.
Am I there?
You are.
You are here.
All right. I don't see me, but there I am. Oh, yeah, okay.
That hat's something special.
Yeah, let's see here. I mean, this is all kind of crazy. There we go. All right. Well, I'm starting this off with sort of a Joseph Banks look. I'm more of a horticulturalist or horticulturist. And we're talking about the Animal Uprising. There's a cat down there right now. They're thinking about it. This COVID-19 thing, I suppose, is mostly a question of perspective. And it has to do, I mean, I could go into population dynamics because I'm a giant dork. Maybe I won't. But
Well,
I like dorks.
let me ask you this. There's a lot of viewers.
Hey, I didn't know you were supposed to ask questions. But
yeah, let me ask you this. There's a lot of viewers out there that are probably wondering, you know, what does all this mean in terms of how the world's going to change? And just for one, and I don't know if this is just, you know, my own little view of the world, but it seems like there's a lot more animals out there these days. There's a lot more birds in the yards. There's a lot more rabbits. There's been coyotes in my neighborhood. I've heard tell that people have actually seen otters scampering through their yard in places not that close to the water. So
what do you think
talk to us a bit about how the decreased activity, the sheltering in place, if you will, has affected life out there for the animals.
It's been really kind of cool. Get big. I mean, at night, the sky is much clearer. You can actually see not just Orion's belt, but you can see Orion's bow. You can see things. There's a lot not going on that's normally going on, which is pretty cool. I work at Woodland Park Zoo, and just the behavior of the animals without people being there to look at them is different. I mean, you find them in different places, normally don't hang out through the day. It's like that. Okay, so, and also like national parks and such are closed, and here and around the world. So, I mean, all the normal critters that would be taking advantage of all those places that don't want to be around people are living it up. And this is all pretty interesting stuff. The lack of traffic on the roads is really a change. There's probably, you know, way less possums getting run over. Possum population's going to go through the roof. One said something earlier about Planet of the Apes. I think it's going to be Planet of the Possums. There's going to be, you know, like, you know, you start looking around at people with like random hair and crazy eyes and maybe rat tails. You know, this is all evidence of, you know, as stated in the birds, it's the end of the world.
Hey, I have a question for you, Michael.
The question is are you more worried about the rodents or the primates being the ones that finally take over the world population?
Well, primates are not so much a problem. They're too close to us. I mean, I'm not as worried about them because I've always been worried about them. You know, I don't see a lot of advantage to the primates in this particular situation, but like I said, I think you know, I think the future belongs to the possum.
The rodents.
Hey, Michael, I got a question. Are the animals at risk of getting this COVID-19 virus?
That's not really known yet. I mean, certain ones are. I mean, at work, we know cats can get it, and we know mustelids can get it, otters and like.
Have they gotten it at Woodland Park Zoo? I heard that there was a tiger.
No, they have not at Woodland Park Zoo, but they seem to be susceptible to it. But they also seem to not be affected by it very much at all. Oh. Which brings up the next sort of point in this is that it seems selective. You know, okay, so if you think of, I'm going to change to my pilgrim hat. This sounds a little preachier than Joseph Banks.
Nice touch.
And it, if you think of the planet as a human body, say, right, when we're looking at something like a virus that affects humans, we think of us and a virus coming in and antibodies being formed against it. If you think of the planet, you think of the planet as a human body. We are the virus. The antibodies that come to bring us back into control are pathogens like COVID-19 or smallpox or, you know, flus. Flus are really good. Read The Coming Plague by Laurie Garrett, or maybe not right now. It's a really, really good book. It has to do with that sort of thing. In any case, you know, in a natural situation, and sorry, going to insects, insects are easily studied because they have a lot of generations really quickly. When you come up to an abnormally high level of a certain species, normally there's something that kicks in to control it. And, you know, people are a little out of control.
So Michael, tell me what's so you bring up an interesting point. Insects, entomology, easy to see what's happening because the induration of generations is very quick. But I mean, what sort of effects is this going to have on, say, the blue whale, for instance? I mean, a creature that we don't even know what the gestation period is. We don't even know where they go to do it.
Yeah,
But we know they're rad.
sharks too. I mean, to engage in another of its subjects that you just don't want to get into.
Let's just
we don't know
stop
that
there.
either.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves on this conversation because I want to talk about that, but I want to keep Michael here in the conversation. But we got this new segment we've got to get to. It's called Influencers with Sean Hollowell.
Oh, let's go.
Pierre Henry.
Everybody that's watching out there, like,
now.
ask questions.
Hit it, Sean.
Yeah, I'm here.
Influences.
Like how I kept our time frame. Don't worry, we're gonna have a lot more talk with Michael.
All right. So in the background there, it might get a little hot. I'm trying to keep it quieter, but so this is a little segment we call the influencers, and this week I'm going to talk about one of mine. He's a composer from the mid-20th century. Is that too loud, Don?
Too loud.
Yep.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Very dynamic composer. Pierre Henry is his name. From the 20th century, he was one of the luminaries of the musique concrète movement, where they basically started playing around with magnetic tape, which is pretty new. It had just come out from Germany in the late 1920s. So anyway, he's one of the original samplers and loopers. I'm gonna go ahead and let some of it play a little bit for you, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So this is from a soundtrack from the movie Malefice, which
It's
was
not?
from 1962.
Yes, that's why I wanted you to play it.
In the United States, I think it was called Where Truth Lies, or Where the Truth Lies. That was the American version of it, but it was still the same movie. It was just reissued with a different name.
I don't know why you guys are jumping all around.
Anyway,
We're
I
gonna
haven't
have to have
seen
a
the movie,
rehearsal.
frankly, but I really like the sounds that he makes. This is pretty cutting edge for this time.
So Sean, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Like an American composer like John Cage, who was working with some similar stuff. I mean, did they collaborate at all?
I haven't seen any evidence that they have, but he did. But Pierre Henry lived to be like 20 till like 2017, so he was in his late 80s when he died. It wouldn't surprise me if they had collaborated on some stuff, but my research hasn't revealed that.
How about Ligeti, the Italian composer?
You got me, trivia man. I don't know.
All right.
They were actually
pulling out all my stops on experimental composers. They're the three that I know.
So we've exhausted all the options.
Yes, unfortunately.
Actually, the Musique Concrète group were responsible for the phonogene, which was a tape manipulator that used to slow and speed up the tape. My modular synthesizer has a sort of reissue of that, a digital reissue of that machine that you will probably hear later tonight. So.
All right.
These are both Pierre Henry visuals.
Yeah.
By the way.
Pierre Henry. Check it out on the influencers. I'm going to fade out on this. I mean, obviously this is for a horror film, so it's very scary.
Yeah, I think, well, a lot of that stuff was, I mean, I have some experimental composer stuff that I listen to that is not actually from a soundtrack, but it sounds like soundtrack music. So, I mean,
Right.
that piece was actually for a movie, was it?
Yeah, it was. But, I mean, who knows which came first, right? During that time, you were kind of limited in the amount of stuff you could record because your data sets were so small just on magnetic tape. But anyway, so that's it for the influencers. Now we're back to another segment, a real special, a special one we've all become fond of called Poetry Corner. I'm going to go ahead and let Guy introduce that.
Oh, really? We're already at that point, are we? Oh, gosh.
We've kind of jumped around here a little bit.
That's okay. We can roll with it. Dawn, would you like us to carry on with Poetry Corner?
We could do the muse.
I think you probably should go Poetry Corner because speaking of influencers.
Speaking of influences, this is somebody that had a huge influence, I think, on a lot of people. And, you know, last week I was reading from Ronald Belfair Scott and his piece Jailbreak, mid to late 20th century Australian Scottish composer. I'm going to stick with the colonial composers, if you will, moving this time to the greatest colony perhaps of the English-speaking world, the Americas, the United States of America, and this poet worked in roughly the same time span as Scott, and I think that probably people might recognize this one. I'm going to give you a little bit by the author at the end here, but I think I'm just going to hop into the poem. We'll have the poem. It's a poem that there is an animal essence to this, an animal instinct, if you will. So let's just roll. Let's see what you think of this. Now on the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round. They gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up. She said, "Leave this one alone." She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. B, bad. B, bad. Bad to the bone. I broke 1,000 hearts before I met you. I'll break 1,000 more, baby, before I am through. I want to be yours, pretty baby. Yours and yours alone. I'm here to tell you, honey, that I am bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. B, bad. Be bad. Bad to the bone. I make a rich woman beg. And I'll make a poor woman steal. I'll make an old woman blush and I'll make a young girl a squeal. I want to be yours, pretty baby, and yours alone. And I'm here to tell you, honey, that I am bad to the bone. B, bad. B, bad. Bad to the bone. Now, when I walk the streets, kings and queens step aside. Every woman I meet, they all stay satisfied. I want to tell you, pretty baby, what I see I'll make my own, and I'm here to tell you that I am bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. B, bad. Bad to the bone. B, bad. Bad to the bone. Yeah.
That is magical.
Magnifique.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all in the reading sometimes. So that's a fantastic piece by G.L. Thorogood from as you may well know, the first state, the state of Delaware. And I think even though it's it's not the don't tread on me state, I think that you can sort of capture from what he's talking about there that he's a sort of don't tread on me kind of guy, you know. He's bad, he bites back, and he takes what he wants.
That's funny. That's a great segue into some of this what we're watching right now with some of Jaws. It's a celebration of Jaws 1, 2, and Jaws 3D. And I would say Jaws is kind of bad to the bone, wouldn't you? But why don't we get Michael back here and let's talk some more zoology about some stuff like mammals, like dolphins.
No, I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna shut you down on that because
Really?
yeah, I think we need to hear some music because this is the Beauty Hunters show. So let's have a song, and then come back to the Q&A.
Why don't I take that lead here?
Go, man, go.
And let me give you some synthesized sounds here. Thank you for indulging
We just got
me with Poetry Corner, but let's move on to music.
Beautiful guy. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Sean. I love that you always are the first to comment on
Hey, you know.
and thank me. Hopefully that didn't sound too bad. We've been
No,
working
that was
on our
actually
sound here the last couple of weeks, so
The sound was the sound was a real
Guy, you
improvement.
could make an old woman blush.
oh really? What, could you see my legs?
No.
Thankfully, no, but you could still make her blush.
Okay then. Hopefully that wasn't too blown out. Sometimes when I get into my thing, I can't really tell how it's sounding over the air. So
It sounded good.
That
Went
was
a little
lovely.
Outside our scheduled time, so I understand.
He was noodling.
He was noodling.
oh, did I get carried away? My apologies.
You might have pre-noodled.
Well, I guess now it's time for you then, Sean.
Oh,
Well, no, let's bring in the
Let's-
voice
let's
of
bring
God
Michael back
here.
in.
The
We need a
inside.
break.
Let's check in with Inside with the Hollywood Outsider.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Sorry for getting carried away.
Hey, this is Dan.
Welcome, Dan.
Yeah. You know what? We had a schedule. It went a little sideways. To make it a movie reference, it went a little every which way but loose.
Oh, and there's Abraham Lincoln sculptured out of poop, which I think there's a fair amount of pooping that goes on in Every Which Way But Loose, right?
Oh yeah, and it's got monkeys or orangutans. I'm not sure which. I think he's got a sidekick that's an orangutan. That was when every movie had an orangutan in it. Orangutan.
are there 3 versions of that?
Oh, at least. And it's bound to be remade shortly.
Who's gonna play Clint Eastwood? Isn't he dead now?
Close enough. He's still walking, but he's dead. He's been dead inside for many years. Hey, so to keep with the Hollywood animal theme, the animal theme, I just like to point out a couple of my interactions in Hollywood. I saw a coyote running down the middle of the street the other day. Thought that was kind of surprising, and I was like, wow, they're really like getting comfortable, taking over. And then
What did you
yesterday,
see?
a coyote.
Oh, yeah. We
And
see them up here
yesterday-
too.
Yesterday, I got caught in an actual honest to goodness traffic jam. 2 ducks walked across the street I was on and just stopped in the middle of the road, and like 6 cars in each direction parked and waited. Nobody knew what to do until
Yeah.
and shoot them away. And then they kind of walked up. And I would say those ducks really didn't give a fuck. That's a drum roll, man. Come on.
Yeah. Ducks don't give a fuck. I like it. Ruckapang. That's a sort of, you're exposing here some of the softer, more gentle, human, caring side of Los Angeles. I thought that some asshole in a Humvee would have just run those things over.
I was the first car in line. I think the guy behind me in his Camaro wanted to pass me and run him over, but I didn't let him.
Okay, hey, sorry everyone. I was upstairs getting the
Was it a bitchin' Camaro?
It was a bitchin' Camaro.
rodent human coronavirus related death count. It's now at 2,300 over 2,300 U.S. wide coronavirus deaths to rodents. I mean, it's not as big a threat as primates. I don't think about this animal uprising. I'm just giving everyone a heads up on this. And well, I'd really like to bring Michael back into the conversation.
Let's do it.
That's up to our
Bring him in. Bring him in.
we would like to talk a little bit more about rodents and primates and sharks. Like which one are the one and bears? What do I have to worry about most in the Pacific Northwest as far as this animal uprising?
There's people at the grocery store.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
It's what does Curt have to worry about specifically? Perhaps not the rest of us, but really Curt.
Well, Curt,
He's in the neighborhood.
I really can't speak specifically to Kurt's worries, but he knows what they are. And
You know what I say? Don't worry, be happy.
yeah, I moved on to David Attenborough.
My mantra.
I also want to bring up, like earlier we were discussing influencers, Jacques Cousteau, who said famously in an outrageous French accent, "Nature's savage ballet." All right, that's all I wanted to say, really.
No, that's good.
Yeah, and were there questions?
Let's see. Do we have any questions?
There was one question
No,
here.
it says make him stop, Sean. Oh, that was from our engineer.
Hey,
I think the question
now.
is what animal is going to take over? Which one's going to knock us off our lofty
All right.
pedestal?
Yeah. I got a thing about that. I mean, yeah, as stated earlier, I believe the possum is the next. And I mean, with the decrease in traffic, generally speaking, particularly around Ballard, I have seen an uptick in the possum population, and I've also seen an uptick in the jogger in the middle of the road population, also due to the lack of traffic. So there's some sort of jogger possum hybrid.
Oh,
I think
sounds
that's
exciting.
I think that's what Curt most has to fear.
It's like a chupacabra. It sounds more like a chupacabra.
Do you think when the possums take over, they'll just kick us out, move us into our houses, take all our beers, and just start living life?
Well, look around, man. Just look around. I mean, how many people do you see with crazy eyes, random hair, and a rat tail? Well, that was more of an 80s thing, I grant you, but
it's coming back.
It's coming back for sure.
What about the
it's coming
raccoons?
back.
What about the raccoons taking over?
It's no accident that it's coming back. It's the next move. It's I mean, earlier I said something about Joseph Banks that had to do with Captain Cook, which sort of makes me think of Darwin and evolutionary pressures. When there ain't no cars on the road, all these knuckleheads seem to think they can run right down the middle of the road. Okay, so that presents its own evolutionary pressure because they're likely to get hit. But nature abhors vacuum. If there's no cars, people can run down the middle of the
We're
road.
gonna fill the streets.
And go mingle with any possum they feel like. If too many cars come, it'll keep it down, which brings up the whole back to the insect population thing, Curt. When in a natural situation, when a population runs wild, either internal or external pathogens will conspire to kind of knock it back. It's just how shit works. Back to nature's savage ballet. If there's no, I mean, if there's no outside influences, and there always will be. It's a zero sum kind of a thing. Like possums, joggers, people with rat tails, they're all working towards the obvious possum overtake. There.
Okay.
Further questions?
Well, I've got a question. I mean,
sorry.
how can my synth solo be worked into the equation with these animals and creatures out there? Is there anything I can do to help?
Right. So you've all heard of these like high frequency, like supersonic, like rat preventive things you can put in your attic that you can't hear that are probably complete bullshit.
Did you say
I
rat?
can hear them.
Did you say
I
rat?
can also hear them.
Said
That's
rat
funny you say
preventive
rat.
things you can buy to try to keep rats down.
They fucking suck.
Superhuman sonic frequencies that are supposed to like dissuade rats from running around. If you could combine your synthesizer thing, if you could just keep it running all the time, it's like, I don't know.
Oh, I can.
What's humans?
We've just seen evidence of it.
What's human?
Yeah.
It's like 20,000 hertz or something. Is that what people can hear up to? I don't know. Go to 30. Keep it running hard. This will keep probably the possums down. Maybe it'll dissuade joggers. I don't think so. Actually, joggers are
You
pretty.
see, like you're saying how to keep them down. Guy, I think, is saying how do I ingratiate myself to them? How do I have them embrace the new overlords?
Yes, exactly. Guy wants to embrace his new possum overlord.
Yeah, I'm a survivor, man.
Right,
I need tips.
All right.
I've heard if you leave cigarettes and beer out for them, that's a start.
All right, so stage one is to bash in the heads of your neighbors and feast on the goo within. Just to go back to the Simpsons, I like to draw a lot from Simpsons, Jacques Cousteau, and with this hat, David Attenborough. Step one, bash in the head of your neighbor and feast on the goo within. Step two, get your synthesizer working really good and high. Keep it going. It doesn't help you with joggers though. I don't know, man. You know, I'm
Well, joggers I can just run out and bash with like a anything large and heavy that I have around the house. Number of different things.
only if you're, you know, in keeping with the theme. If they're your neighbor and they're jogging, yes, bash in their heads and feast on the goo within.
No, even though primates are definitely to be worried about in this animal uprising, rodents are really almost just as much of a problem. Obviously, the genetic testing on primates is a problem, and that's probably where they possibly will have the way to govern us at one point. Rodents may be a way to take over.
Actually, rodents are more of a direct influence. You know, so
let's talk about rodents.
Thank you for that, everyone.
Did you say
That
boobs?
was a wonderful conversation.
So I think
Now we're
it's
gonna
time
transition.
We've got another piece of music ready, don't we? Sean,
Yes,
you
we
wanna
do.
you wanna take us on a little oral journey of your own creation, please?
Awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect piece there. Were to combine the whole show together, really, Sean. I got to say that it synced really well with Willard there. It had a certain whimsical and sentimental tone to it, but then also we got some of the percussive nature Pierre Henry there from the influences, and I think
very much.
Yeah, worked well. Definitely some stand-up American forthrightness, a little bit of GL Thorogood in there. Excellent all around.
It all comes together.
It all comes together.
Well, we still have about another 4 minutes left of the show. I want to, of course, thank everyone for appearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael and Dan.
Come on back, Dan.
Dawn Marie's always in the booth. She keeps us to our time. We keep right to that time that we work on so hard in the middle of the week. We're just, it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Definitely.
I got sense that.
Thank you for tuning in for this
Yes.
Animal Uprising, and I hope that gave you some insight on what's to come.
Yeah.
And I'll let
Collapse of our society and animals uprise.
Yeah, excellent show tonight, everyone. Thank you so much to our new guest, Michael, our zoological consult. And I think that was really helped us understand what's going on in the world around us. Dan, as always, thank you. What can I say? Abraham Lincoln sculptured out of poop.
Absolutely.
What more can I say? And yeah, and thank you for bringing us the duck story too. Sean, excellent music, and Curt, really great graphics tonight. I think everyone got a kick out of Willard there.
No,
I gotta say, Dawn, if it were not for you, we would be nothing.
Zero.
Yeah, thank you.
But with you, we are definitely something.
Yes.
Remember
thank you,
to
Dawn.
buy our LP vinyl release on Dirty Knobby Records.
Yeah, let's hear a little of that. Let's extra on that one, shall we?
I love it.
Do it.
All right. It's good night for me. Here's a few minutes of the wonderful Beauty Hunters.
See everyone next week.
See you next week.
See y'all.
Give us some video, babe. Everybody has been waiting for this. This is what everyone's